looking at the first game of the week with the Oakland Raiders, and I say Oakland because we all know they're the Las Vegas Raiders, but it's so much more nicer and it flows better calling them the Oakland Raiders because that's who they were.
Yes.
And the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, who's had a sensational season. Defensively, throughout the season, they've been one of the best defenses in the league. Who would have thought? A coach that I really believed in the last 2 years was going to be fired really has taken this team to that next level. And maybe it's because of the quarterback play, maybe because of having that luck of drafting a guy like Joe Burrow, who really fell to them, a guy that from Ohio State that was a backup, really a third string at one point. He gets brought in LSU, has one of those unbelievable years, one of the greatest quarterback seasons we've ever seen a quarterback have with 60 touchdowns and won a Heisman, won a national championship. And then he was the number one pick. Some unbelievable player in this league. And I think the future of quarterbacks in the NFL really reminds me of a Tom Brady. He really does inside the pocket. But I look at this game, and it's really about coaching. An Oakland Raider team that doesn't have John Gruden there anymore. They have a backup coach where everybody says, he's probably not going to get the job at the end of the season. Remember the last time Oakland had a coach that took over the team and didn't get the team at the end of the season? Remember that? Then coached the Browns.
Oh, Hugh Jackson.
That's right. Remember that?
Yeah. Jason Campbell at quarterback that year. They almost made the playoffs. They just choked right at the end of the season.
And then they fired Jackson. After that, guess what? He got a job pretty quick. And he got the
Bengals offensive coordinator, and he did very well there.
And then he got a job with the Browns, and he did very bad there. But
it's the Browns. At that time, no coach was doing well there.
This has happened to Raider coaches before. But again, two coaches that are not very well known, not like the big pizzazz names like the Belichicks of the world or the Sean Paytons of the world or the Andy Reids of the world. This is a game where these coaches are going to have to make big decisions in big positions with two really great quarterbacks in Derek Carr, who I think is so underrated in this league, and Joe Burrow, who I speak very highly of.
Yeah, this is the one that's very interesting because it's all new all at once. You have Rich Bisaccia, who's an interim guy, and he's done well at certain points, and he looked bad in the middle of the season. And Zach Taylor, like you mentioned, a guy that I'm still not crazy about as a coach, but he definitely has made improvements this year. I was saying, okay, give him one more chance with now having a little more with these weapons. Jamar Chase,
he's going to get more than just one chance.
Yeah, I mean, I still am not crazy about him as an in-game coach. I think some of the play calls he's made have definitely been interesting. But again, he's there. He did very well when they needed to do. The Bengals won a lot of clutch games down the stretch. And like you mentioned, that defense in the final month of the season played very, very well outside of the Chiefs game. But again, not many defenses play well against the Chiefs. So you can't really blame them for that. And that defense against the run especially was very good all year, stopping a lot of top running backs. Really, the only teams that were able to run on them, oddly enough, were the Jets and the Jaguars. Figure that one out.
Well, Michael Carter, he's a skirmish type of running back that you can use in the backfield, and they've had problems with those type of running backs. And I don't know if Oakland has that type of running back. They have Jacobs, who is more, he could do that, but he's more of a power back. He's going to run up the gut. He's going to try to beat you with strength and power, not with speed.
Yep.
But I think the Bengals also have the same running back. They have Joe Mixon, who is also a very underrated running back, could be a top 5 running back in the league. Right. When healthy, he just beats the opposition up. And I think the Bengals have the better wide receivers. I mean, obviously, Jamar Chase, who I think is going to win Rookie of the Year, with other guys like Higgins and Boyd, who really didn't have the season we thought he was going to have, but still a dangerous player. You're going into this game, and Cincinnati's looking pretty. They're at home. When was the last time they played a home game in the playoffs? I mean,
the last time they lost when they should have won, and then Vontaze Burfict had the big hit, and then Adam Jones threw a hissy fit to the referees and put the Steelers at field goal range.
Absolutely. So you're looking at the Bengals haven't won a playoff game in like 20 years.
1991, the longest drought in the NFL.
30 years. Okay, so you're talking about this is an opportunity where Joe Burrow can actually end something that it's been aching and really tampering on the shoulders of this Bengals organization. And listen, the Bengals are really positioned. If they can rebuild this offensive line, which they're going to have a chance to do in the draft this year, because they're good offensive linemen that you can get in the second round too, that are going to fall there. Interior offensive players. So I look at the Bengals. If they could fix this offensive line, they're going to be very hard to beat. I mean, the defense is good. They can stop the run. They can stop the pass. The only thing they've had a problem with all season long is the offensive line, and that's where Oakland can dominate. Crosby and the pass rush they have over there, this could absolutely be an opportunity where they can cause a lot of havoc and put Joe Burrow on his ass. But that has to last, moving forward in the game, and they got to put a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow.
Yeah, they're going to have to definitely win the pass rush battle because their run defense has been iffy throughout the year. I believe they're 22nd in run defense, so Mixon has an edge there, and those exotic running schemes that the Bengals use, more of the McVay-type offense with Zach Taylor. So the Bengals are going to have to win the line of scrimmage for that to happen because Burrow in a clean pocket was the highest graded passer according to Pro Football Focus. Actually, speaking of Pro Football Focus, while I mentioned it, shout out to a guest of the show, friend of the show, Ian Hartitz, had a funny tweet. Joe Burrow has the confidence that he could drive with a mountain lion in his car. That was pretty funny.
Probably could.
Yeah. So that's how Joe Cool. That's how what he is. But again, when he gets pressured, obviously it could be a different scenario. And that tandem with Crosby and Ngakoue has been really good for the Raiders this year. The other thing that's going to be an interesting matchup, Jamar Chase versus a corner in Casey Hayward, who's played very well for the Raiders. Now, Chase has a big size advantage in that matchup, but Hayward's played very well. So if the Raiders can at least contain or win that battle, too, that's huge for them.
As far as the Patriots and Bills on the final game of Saturday night, well, it's going to be a cold game. I think it's going to be the battle of the running games. And now I look at the Bills. The Patriots have won and dominated in Buffalo for many, many years. I mean, you're talking about Tom Brady, even Mac Jones. This year they beat him in Buffalo, and the Bills beat him in New England. So right. This is in Billsville or whatever you want to call it. And to me, Buffalo needs to win this game because if the Patriots somehow win this game, it really dampers where this team is going to be next year and what the team needs to do in the offseason. Because you're talking about Josh Allen getting a big contract. You're going to lose some players in free agency because you just gave Josh Allen a $200 million contract. So you have a lot resting on your quarterback, which as well as you should because he's your franchise. But again, this team has been a top defensive team year in and year out. They've had a good offensive line, and they can't get over the hump. They can't beat the good teams. They can't beat Kansas City. They can't beat the Patriots. They need to find a way to beat these teams if they have any chance to really put their mark away from the Buffalo Bill teams in the 90s where they were dominant, but they couldn't win.
Yeah, Bill Belichick is always going to be one that's going to take out your top player. So the Bills have to be prepared for that. Now, the other question is, can they get a guy that could emerge as a second receiving option for Josh Allen? Because their other prominent receivers are more smaller guys. It's usually bigger, more physical guys that do better against the Patriots because they love to do press coverages, press zones, combo coverages, whatever. So guys like Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders, those are smaller guys. I mean, those are not usually the ones that dominate. Somebody like Gabriel Davis is going to have to be a big factor in this game. And like you were saying, definitely the running game because the Patriots...
It's cold. It might be snowy.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Patriots...
windy.
Like to let teams run at times and stop them when they need to. But does Buffalo have the running attack to do that is another question. Maybe Matt Breida comes out of nowhere. Maybe Zach Moss, who's been a healthy scratch, plays a role in that game. He's actually done well against the Patriots in his career so far in the little bit he's played. But still, they need some kind of running game to have some kind of balance to win this game.
Battle of the kickers. You watch. This game could be the battle of who could kick the ball better. So it'll be interesting. Eagles in Tampa. A lot of people are counting out the Eagles, okay? And I don't count out the Eagles. If you remember, the first time they played this year, it was 22-28, the final. Tampa won, and Tampa barely won that game. Tampa is fighting and playing on fumes. They lost Antonio Brown now. He's out, obviously, because of the craziness that he really created in MetLife Stadium. And then their wide receiving core, they lost Godwin for the season, tearing his ACL. This team is really, going into the playoffs on fumes. And as good as they are on paper and as good as Tom Brady has been this year, I would say this. The Eagles are more healthy going into this game. The Eagles are even more dangerous because the defense in the front seven has been as good as any front seven in football. And they brought this guy Slate in from the Lions. And the corner position over the last couple of years, and we all know about the Eagles and how much money they've spent at that position. They have an opportunity now where this guy, which they paid and they traded for, has to step up and it has to stop, their number one guy. And you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So
the key, I think, for the Eagles,
Run the ball against this Patriots. I don't care if they're fifth in running. They've had problems against running quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts runs his ass off today and gets some extra yardage. I'm telling you, they can win this game.
Yeah, that's definitely one to look at, because if they could get some exotic play calling to really throw off Todd Bowles and that defense, that definitely could be an impact matchup where they're going to have to put more run stoppers on the field, more contained guys, and that'll take something away from their pass rush. That's definitely one. I agree with you. I like the idea of Darius Slay and Mike Evans the whole time throughout that game. Now, where the big deficiency is the middle of the field for the Eagles. Their linebackers in coverage aren't anything special. Their safeties, Rodney McLeod's okay, but he's nothing more really than average. And Tampa's has all those tight ends that they can make. Obviously Gronk, but also Cameron Brate, and even somebody like O.J. Howard, who's used more as a blocker, but who knows? Maybe in this kind of game is going to have to be a receiver without Godwin or Antonio Brown. So you're dealing with a lot of youngsters. Bruce Arians is not really somebody that likes to use the tight ends, but might have to in this game. Brady will use them if they're on the field, no question. And then the Buccaneers rushing attack against the Eagles run defense, which was bad in the first half of the season and was very good in the second half of the season, will be another interesting matchup.
I think this game is going to be, back and forth, and it's going to be very, very close. Anybody that thinks Tampa's going to blow them out, they couldn't blow out the Jets. So if they can't blow out the Jets, you really think they're going to blow out this Eagles team. And I know what you're going to say, well, the Cowboys blow them out. The Cowboys played their JV squad, okay? I mean, not the Cowboys. The Eagles played their JV squad against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys played their starters. And that's why the Cowboys won. They scored 50 points. It's not going to happen in this game. I think this is going to be very close, and I believe what defense wants it more. And whatever team can run the ball and play defense harder is going to win this game.